Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Catherine Kelly, and I want to share with you today more about my series, The Soul of Psychology, and how that evolved and hopefully where it is going. So, the Soul of Psychology series is something that came about a year ago, a little over a year ago. I had a conversation with some colleagues, and I basically said, I think I need to write a series isolating individual mental health concerns and talking about the body, the mind, and the soul aspects. Because we already know there's lots of literature out there about how to treat things from the body, how to treat things from the mind, but there is not very much out there, if anything, about treating mental health concerns from the soul level. Now, I find this really unfortunate and sad because way back to Hippocrates' time, when he was the father of medicine centuries ago, he said that the soul was present in every single illness and in every single aspect of who we are, including the organs, the psyche, everything. All of his buddies at the time, Socrates, Plato, Galen, any of the other philosophers or physicians around the time, were basically very much in the belief that the soul was very present. Now, as you know, that is never brought up in a medical session. You never hear anything about the soul. From a psychological perspective, we fast forward to the beginning of psychology, which is not a very old field. But at the beginning of the field of psychology, when it was being formed, Carl Jung was one of the founding fathers as well. And he basically said the soul was present in everything. And he went on to explain the collective unconscious, the personal unconscious. And he really emphasized the fact that the soul was present in everything as well. However, I was never taught about the soul aspects. I was taught about the collective unconscious and things like that. But even in 10 years of psychological training, I did not hear the word soul once when it came to our training. And I'm pretty sure that in medical school, most practitioners that are going through medical school, whatever specialty they end up in, very few of them, if any of them, hear about the soul as how Hippocrates spoke about it when he first started the field of medicine. So what's interesting to me now is that it does feel like we are coming full circle. This is a time when there are more and more people that are really seeking soul services. They're curious about the Akashic records. They're curious about intuitive readings. They're curious about astrology. They're curious about shamanic healing practices. They're curious because they know something is deeper. And there are millions of people around the world, and I'm not even sure how to research how many are doing this, but so many people are seeking out soul services to help them because they know that traditional methods are not working or are not getting to the deepest levels. And if you think of a typical medical appointment, it's about 15 minutes long, if even that. And so there's very little from the soul side that can be addressed, let alone addressing a common cold in the middle of that session. So I think it's really important for us to bring this full circle and bring the soul back to light. So this series it's become a labor of love for me because I really am taking individual mental health concerns and I'm talking about the body aspects, the mind aspects, and the soul aspects. Nobody has done this before, and I have to admit this has been not only a labor of love, but it's been a stretch because I've had to bring language together. I've had to bring the language of the medical field together. I've had to bring the language of the psychological field together, and I've had to bring the language of the soul healing world together. And that's not really an easy feat because I want to make this reachable to everyone. So this first book is basically about anxiety treating body, mind, and soul. Depression will be next, PTSD will be after that, grief will come after that, and then I have probably 12 to 15 books that will end up in this series. But the whole idea of the soul of psychology is that we have to treat the whole aspect of who we are. Now, most people think about the body first. So medications are big right now in treating mental illness. And I completely understand why, because people just want to feel grounded. They want to feel back in some sort of control. And medications are a part of that. And it's an important part of that for a lot of people. And so there is the medical aspect, and then there's other treatments that are now being formed in order to help treat the body. So we have magnetic therapy, we have ketamine treatment, we have other kinds of treatment that are medically based, but they are basically very body based. We have lots and lots of different forms of therapy that are age old as well as being developed. And there's different aspects for different people of what works. And so we need all of those different modalities and those different theories of intervention from the mind perspective. But then there's this huge, huge, huge aspect of soul healing that is not understood from the body aspect or the mind aspect, but it is gigantic. And like I said, there are millions of people seeking these services. And it's important for us to start addressing the soul in order for a person to feel whole and complete. And I think that is the biggest thing that I hear is that when a client comes to me and they've been in treatment for many, many years and they say, I don't know why I can't get to the bottom of this, it's because nobody is addressing the soul. Nobody is addressing the essence of who we are, the very core of who we are. We're kind of going around the edges, and that's not going to work for much longer. It's not working, let's put it that way. And so there were many, many models that came out of me writing this first book, and you're going to be seeing more and more of those as I do more videos and as I write more books. But I want to tell you about one of the models that I created, and it's called the Soul Informed Care Model. And it's really just a graphic depiction of the fact that the body aspect of who we are is really the smallest part of who we are, but it's where most people go to in order to do treatment. So it's this little teeny tiny circle. And then there's a bigger circle that's around that is treatment of the mind. And so we have all of these thoughts either about our body and how we are functioning or how whatever mental health concern is affecting us from a body perspective, a physical perspective. And then we have worrisome thoughts. We have faulty thinking. We have all these things that are related to the mind. And that is the psyche part of who we are. And I'm going to explain that in a second as well. But then here, if you think about this, here's the body, here's the mind, but we have this huge aspect of who we are that is the soul. And very few practitioners incorporate this into their work. And so there's a big gap in what needs to be attended to in order for people to feel whole. And so I'm going to explain a little bit about the difference between the psyche and the soul, because oftentimes they are used interchangeably in some of the literature. But I need to correct the fact that they are not the same thing. People think that they are the same thing because they were used that way interchangeably in the past, but they're not. So the psyche is the totality of our mind, the totality of our thoughts. So it is basically includes our personality to some extent, and I'm going to help you understand that. But some of our personality traits are learning, what we've learned growing up. It's the way we think. It's the mind aspect. The psyche is the mind aspect. The soul aspect is the totality of who we are, not just the totality of our mind. And that's a very important thing to remember, is that it's the soul is not the psyche. It basically encompasses everything about the body, everything about the mind, and then the soul is everything else, including those two. And the reason I want to emphasize that is that the soul includes everything from past, present, and future. And when I say that, it includes everything from the past in this lifetime or previous lifetimes that has accumulated to create our discomfort now. Now, we don't think in the terms of something from a past life really creating discomfort now. So most of us don't even think about past lives, but it all starts to make sense when there is something unexplainable that you experience in this lifetime, but there's nothing that has cued that situation. So there's anxiety, there's depression, there's all kinds of things that can be triggered that there's no originating factor in this lifetime. And so it's residue, it's residual kind of energy from a past life or more than one past life. It could be ancestral healing. It could be a lot of things that are accumulated to create wounds that need to be healed, that will never be healed if we only attend to the body and the mind. So it's something to start thinking about, is that there's something bigger that is playing a part in our mental health. So when I say present, I say that right now, our human condition, whatever we are experiencing right now, is part of our soul as well. So we accumulate, we are seasoned, our souls are seasoned by our experiences. So whatever we experience now is accumulating on top of what we've experienced in the past. When I say our soul is all about the future, it is because we are here to evolve, and we cannot evolve. We cannot get past our glitches. We cannot get past our habits. We cannot get past our habits and our patterns until we consciously step back and realize we have to heal the past in order to move forward. And so it's really the psyche, the soul of psychology is really about healing and evolution. It is about helping us get to the bottom of what is really affecting us and where it all started so that we can understand it. We can release any emotion about it, and then we can do the core of the healing to clear the slate and be able to move on. And if you think about roadblocks, if there's anything that you're ignoring or anything that you just don't know is there, but you feel stuck, you can be guaranteed that there's something in the way and something that needs to be healed and released in order for you to move forward. So to me, healing is all about moving forward. On my website, I talk about the fact that healing is not enough for me. I actually want to help people evolve beyond where they were. And to me, that is very true because that is the whole purpose. That is our sole purpose as humans, is to evolve. That is the whole piece. And so the Soul of Psychology series is really about teaching about mental health concerns, but also teaching and expanding my idea of soul health to help people understand that we will not get where we want to be unless we do our healing. And what's the biggest challenge in healing? It's mental health concerns. It pervades everything. Anxiety, the statistics for anxiety are that about 18 to 20% of people around the world experience some form of anxiety. Depression, it's about 8 to 10% of people around the world experience depression. Now, I would say that those numbers are probably underestimated because there are a lot of people that don't report things that are actually going on within them. So when we really think about what we experience, the soul is present in everything and our psyche is involved with everything as well. So that's why it is so important to me to really start putting out to the world this whole idea of the soul of psychology and taking individual mental health concerns and systematically explaining what's going on from the soul side. So there's more coming on this. This book series, like I said, is going to be 12 to 15 books, maybe more, video series coming out. But I want you to really think about we cannot move forward if we haven't cleared the past. We can't. It does not work that way. So it's important for us to get to the core of where that soul healing is and move forward. And these books hopefully will help you, and these videos will hopefully help you as well. So much more to come. And I know this is a lot to chew on for people who don't think this way, but this is a time to scratch the surface or, basically open up that box a little bit because we have to go deeper in order to go further. So have a wonderful day, and I will be back soon with more information about the soul psychology. Bye-bye.